Welcome back, guys. In this lesson, I just want to focus on three topics: gesture in the hands, the head, and explaining tangents, which we previously encountered. So let's get right into it with examples. So, what I want to do now is I want to show you how I approach drawing hands in terms of gesture. And what I want you to pay attention or be mindful of is that this is a gesture drawing class. It's not an anatomy class. So, this is basically just like a simple way of approaching drawing hands, right? Now, when I draw hands, I try to keep it really simple and I try to break down the hands into basic shapes. So here we have a reference of a hand. And what I want you to pay attention to is how you could break down the hand into basic shapes. Now, I approach it like this. I keep the main area of the hand here. I break that down into a simple cuboid. So now why keeping it a cuboid is because remember the hand is a three-dimensional thing, right? So I would approach it as a cuboid, and then now this is me breaking down the hand into simple shapes, and then you could say I add some sausages at the end, right? Let's do another example. It's the same principle, like it's something that you just you could start off doing, and once you get accustomed to understanding the three-dimensionality of the hand, you won't really need to do this anymore. You will just be like straight up drawing the hand very, very easily. You won't even need to be drawing these shapes. No, I still have trouble drawing hands. I think a lot of artists still have trouble drawing hands. It takes a really long time to master hands. I don't think I've met anyone who has mastered hands. Well, people who say they've mastered hands, even people who draw hands really well still say that how they have trouble drawing hands. So it all comes down to you and what you want out of drawing hands. So this is one example. Another example, let's do some more. So basically, that's how I would recommend that you approach drawing hands. Like if you're now starting off, just keep it to basic, really basic shapes. Like don't try to draw everything anatomically correct or focus on too much detail, because remember, this is just a gesture drawing class. Alright? Let me show you how I want you not to draw hands, right? Now, a lot of people, when they're drawing hands, they want to draw every single detail in the hands. They want to draw all this. They want to draw the fingernail. They want to draw that. They want to make sure everything, every bump and every crease is there. And I'm telling you now, you don't have to draw hands like this. You don't have to draw every single wrinkle unless you're doing like a hyper realistic drawing of the hand. You don't need to do that. Gesture is more about finding the gesture and the story, right? Now you will be able to, once you've learned the basic idea of drawing the hand, you'll be able to stylize the hand, which will come in handy in character design. You'll be able to stylize the hand in any way that you want, right? You could draw like really scary hands with really long fingernails. Like maybe this hand belongs to a vampire or something. And I'm keeping it really simple even in the stylization of the hand, right? I'm not drawing every single bump. I'm not drawing like every knuckle on the hand. I'm not going to draw every crease here and draw every vein in the hand and all of that stuff, right? Try and keep it simple and very effective. If the hand is reaching out like this, which has a little more perspective, we keep it simple. And the box would come in handy here, because if you're having trouble with perspective, you could break it down into a simple cuboid, and then you could start placing the sausages here and there. You know, you could draw your surface lines to see how it is. Even with the fingers, you know, you have the surface lines. If you're having trouble with the perspective, you know, you keep it simple. You don't want to be drawing too much detail. Let's do this one last one, right? Again, look at the hand, look at the way you can break it down into a simple cuboid. And you make your life simple. Because again, this is just gesture drawing. We're not going to get too involved in anatomy and drawing super detailed things. And again, once you draw the cuboid, especially if you're doing digital, you can always just go back in, erase the cuboid, tidy up a bit. Let's draw this hand here. You can start off with the cuboid. Now, the hands have another principle in them, especially in the fingers, which is squash and stretch, which we will talk about in a later lesson. So we'll actually come back to hands. But right now, I just want to show you guys how you could break down the hands. Now, in this example, they have bracelets, so those bracelets would act as surface lines. Remember, we talked about that in the previous lesson. But yeah, keeping it simple, making sure you don't keep it, like, you don't go too complicated. It's just about getting that story into the gesture, right? So I'm gonna give you guys an assignment for drawing hands, but for now we're just gonna move on to the next lesson, which we're gonna cover is gesture in the head. Okay guys, now we're gonna move on to sketching the head, and I'm gonna show you how I approach sketching the head. There's many ways from many different artists of sketching the head, but this is my personal way of sketching the head, and I'm going to show you exactly why I do it like this and how it makes it easier for me to draw the head like this when I'm sketching. Now, if you look at this example here, you could see the basic shapes that I use to sketch the head, and I always start with a circle, as I previously mentioned, because it's a shape that I could set a good foundation and draw the head at any angle with the circle. Now, the second thing that I do is that I draw the chin area, or the lower area of the face, with a triangular shape. In red, you can see that. And then I add the neck, which is usually always overlapped by the head in some way. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how I approach actually drawing the head in a demonstration now. So let's get to that. Right? So we have a girl here, and she's turning her head to her left. Right now, it doesn't matter the position of the head or how it's turning or what position it's in. I always start with a circle. It doesn't matter if it's turning left, right, up, down. I always start with a circle, and I'll show you why. Because once I start with a circle, then I see Okay, where's the chin at? The chin there, right? And then I draw the neck, and then the neck kind of has some overlap here, right? Now I go in, right? I know some of you may need to some of you need to draw this line so you know the surface lines of where it is. That's a good way of visualizing where to put the nose and the eyes and stuff. But as you practice a lot, you won't need that. You won't need to like draw that all the time. But if you need to, you could do that. And I'm just gonna add in the eyes. And because this is a gesture class, I'm just putting suggestions of the eyes, like quick suggestions of the eyes and the head, etc. Remember, this is not a realistic drawing class. This is a gesture drawing class. And gesture is all about just getting the main things down, right? Now, if you need to draw your guidelines, right on that layer, you could always put a next layer and then come in and draw eyes, the nose, the mouth. But this is more of like when you reach, if you want to do some cleanup. Right? But at the end of the day, I always start with the circle and the triangle at the bottom. So let's do another example here. So we have a girl, her head is positioned differently from the previous image, right? But what do? I still start with a circle. Because of the way a circle is, you could do anything with it. You could position the face on it in any direction. Now that she is facing this way, right, the triangle is gonna be here, right? And then I'm gonna draw the neck under that lower area, right? So I basically have the basic direction she is looking in, right? And if you want to put in your guidelines to see where to put the eyes, go ahead. Right? I don't need them right now because I've kind of done this so many times that I have a good idea where to put the eyes and stuff. And don't worry about being like sketchy, like you see how the circle is overlapping the details. Don't worry about that. You could always just do a next layer and clean it up after. You could always do that. But the main thing is to get the direction of the face and put down everything as quickly as possible to get that story, right? Let's just put in the glasses. And we basically have a quick gesture of her head, right? So let's do one more here, right? So it's the same with this side view, right? Same thing. Start with a circle first, right? What's the direction the head is pointing in? He's looking up, so I guess the triangle will be here, and then his neck. Now because he's looking back, there'll be a little bending of the flesh here. We're gonna talk about that in squash and stretch, but don't worry about that now. And then his nose would be pointing upwards, and his eyes. Right? Very, very simple. Nothing super detailed, nothing super realistic. It's all about just getting the main story of the gesture of the head, right? Same thing if you're drawing the girl and her head is looking down. Start with a circle then triangular shape. The neck will be always under. Alright, it should be looking down. Drew mine a little more exaggerated than the picture. That's okay. And again, as I said, if you need to clean up, you clean up after. Don't worry about hitting everything on the first try. Like a lot of people, they would approach it like this. No, it's not wrong, it's just more difficult, and you don't want to make your life more difficult. We're trying to make our lives as artists easier. We're trying to be good at stuff. We're trying to be more efficient at stuff, right? And you would see a lot of young artists, they would start drawing. They won't break down the image into basic shapes. They would start like this, and they would try to get everything to look exactly like it with every line they draw. Or the first try, right? Drawing every detail. First try, it has to be the first try, right? Like you don't this is not wrong. I'm not saying this is wrong. Like I draw like this sometimes, but like if you try to get especially when you're now starting to draw, like and you don't understand the angles of the head or the perspective of the head, it's not a good idea to like just dive in one time and draw everything. I think it's more once you understand the structure of the head and the way the head turns and the perspective of the head and all that other stuff, then you could dive in to drawing like this, because you've drawn so much that you understand everything about the head. But the reason why I'm pushing you to break down the head into a simple shape, the simple shapes, right? And then go into all the other detail is because, again, this class is focused on gesture and we're not focused on details right now, right? Because remember, gesture is capturing the essence of a pose, right? And we're not going to be involved with drawing too much detail and being too realistic in this gesture drawing class. Like I want you guys to be loose. I want you guys to not worry too much about anatomy, to not be caught up in detail, right? Gesture. Focus on simplifying things. If you have to break them down into shapes, we could break them down into shapes. Now, I want to explain a little more on why I use a circle when I'm drawing the heads. Now, let's say we have this circle, right? And I'm gonna copy it so we have the exact same circle for this example, right? So this is the exact same circle. Let's move it around here. Now I'm gonna draw the head in a bunch of different positions using the exact same circle, and this is one of the reasons why I always start with the head and I always use a circle. So let's start with the basic front, and I add the triangle base. I'm just gonna do something very quick just so you can understand why I start with a circle. So we have the front, alright, circle and triangle for the chin, then I draw the neck, nose, eyes, mouth. The ear is usually where the triangle joins the circle, right there. Alright, now we're gonna do a 3-dimensional one. Again, I'm using the same circle. Same circle for everything. Get everything done quick. We're trying to just capture the essence, right? Let's do more of an angled one for this. Right? Now you're gonna need a lot of practice to draw the head in different positions and different perspectives. But I would suggest again, if you're having trouble, start with a circle. Like even if you're going super simple and you just wanna do like a stick man, right? Draw a circle, the nose there, and now we have a really simplified version of the head. Same thing here. It's like the circle, you could use it for any position. Now if you start with, say you're trying to draw the head, but you're trying to draw it using this like a kind of square jaw face, it might be harder for you to draw that in perspective, because you'll have to draw like it might be harder because you're trying to draw a more angular shape in perspective as compared to a circle. Any position, any way the head turns, you can draw the head, like any position, especially when we're doing gesture and you want things fast, really fast. Start with a circle. That's my recommendation. So I hope you understand, like drawing the head, with the basic shapes, breaking it down into simple form, right? I'm definitely gonna leave some stuff in the assignment for you guys to do with drawing heads. Let's tackle the last topic for this class, which is tangents, and then we'll wrap up. So we are going to go through tangents now really quickly. Tangents are basically when lines in a drawing intersect in a way that creates confusion, and they also tend to make your drawing seem flat, killing all the dimensionality in your drawing. Right, so we're gonna go through some really quick examples and I'll show you what tangents look like and how to avoid them. So in this example, we have a drawing of two people facing away from each other. Now, if you look closely, you will see that both of their heads, the line drawings draw their heads like in this specific area right here. Their heads touching, and it creates this kind of blending of the lines, and it's not really sure who's in front or who's in the back, and it becomes really flat and confusing, right? So this is basically a tangent when the lines intersect with each other and they don't have any kind of definitive direction and it kind of blends into each other. It creates this kind of flat tangent looking thing that makes it really confusing to an audience, right? So for this specific example, what you could do is pull the two characters away, right? That way you have the negative space in between that, you're clearly defining where they are in the drawing. And you could also do this. You could actually push the character more behind the first character, so you could clearly see that this character's head is actually in front this character, and it doesn't actually blend. The lines don't blend into each other. So let's move on to another quick example here. So in this example, the drawing on the left has a lot of tangents. If you look at it, you'll see a lot of the lines intersecting by the color. Let me highlight them for you. You could see by the collar, the neck collar, the neck, and where the lines for the sleeve are joining, and closer to the elbow. They all converging into like this one spot, and then they you can't really tell where the lines end and the lines begin. Same thing by the crotch area, and the same thing with the bracelets. You can't tell where the bracelets end, where they begin. So the drawing on the right is basically one solution you could have, is to allow the lines to go their own ways. Don't let them converge onto the same spot. So if you look at the example closer, you could see how I made adjustments to avoid the tangents, and it looks much less flat. There's more a 3D feeling. You know where each thing is in the drawing, right? So now I want to show you an example of tangents to avoid when you're drawing backgrounds, right? Now this is one where the background is creating a tangent with the character, and you can see at the shoulder areas here, the roof of the building is actually intersecting, well, not intersecting, but going exactly in the same direction and merging with the shoulders of the character. So it actually looks like, wait, is this building, it looks as though the building is part of him, but it actually supposed to be at the back. So what you would do is remove this, shift the building. If it has to be overlapped by the character, allow it to be overlapped at a different point in the drawing, right? So these are tangents. I hope you understand them, and I hope you will be able to see them. Like, the more and more you draw and the more and more you practice, like, if tangents occur in your drawings currently, once you know how to identify them, you'll be able to adjust your drawings and fix them, and be able to create more dimensionality in your drawings by avoiding tangents. So let's move on to the assignment now.